Today marks the official lifting of the mask mandate in Texas schools. That means students of all ages are not required to wear a face covering, but they can still wear one if they so choose. Definitely a lot for parents and students to consider, as there is still some time left on the school calendar for this year. Here to talk about this and other COVID-related issues is Dr. Ogechika Alozie, an infectious disease expert. Thank you for joining us in studio today, Dr. Alozie.
Thanks for having me.
So what advice would you give parents and older students when it comes to wearing a mask at school?
Well, I think a couple of things. Wearing a mask is determined by what's our rate in the community. We've gotten our rates down so low that I think it's very fair for kids not to have to wear a mask. Now, if a parent wants to, if they're concerned about their child's safety, they still have some COVID anxiety, I think it's absolutely fair if they're above the age of 12 to also offer them the vaccine. But I don't think those two things go hand in hand. And I think people that want to tie them together as a mandate for what happens in the fall, they're sort of missing where we've come and the power of the vaccinations.
And I think this ties into my next question, which is what would you tell parents who are still hesitant about sending their children back into buildings?
Yeah, I think it is an individual decision that parents are going to have to make. I was really excited when my 9th grader could go back to Young Women's Academy, and I'm looking forward to my soon-to-be 6th grader to go back in-person school. Some parents aren't going to feel that comfortable. I think the fact that she has now been vaccinated, my son cannot be because he's 10, but I also understand that his risk is much lower. I think some of the CDC data that was released today really buttressed that even though we've seen an increase potentially of kids getting sick, 0 deaths this year. And I think that's really important. So again, we got to keep on reminding people of the power of the vaccines. And if you want to take an individual decision, mask your kid.
And we know that Pfizer and Moderna are testing their vaccines on younger children. So with students set to return in August, is there any indication about when the shots will become available to kids younger than 12?
Yeah, I think that's still yet to be determined. There are a lot of people that would love to have kids under the age of 12 vaccinated by the time we get back to school. I just don't think that timeline is going to hold up. I think we're also going to get into some conversations with some of the myocarditis risks that's been out there and whether kids below the age of 12 really need it. I think right now we have to focus on ensuring that as long as the adults in our community are vaccinated to a high level plus natural immunity, we are into a position that we're going to be a lot better. I think it's a little bit too early, and hopefully later in the summer we can have this conversation again.
All right, so again, you're talking about the adults who can get vaccinated. So for those who've already been vaccinated, what's the word on whether they'll need a booster shot?
Yeah, I always am really wary when the CEO of multi-billion-dollar companies tell us that we need to get a booster. And so for right now, I'm going to poo-poo that big time. I think that right now what we see is that all the variants that exist as variants of concerns around the world, all of them have been protected against with both the mRNA vaccines. And I think that's the key. We may need it into the fall, but right now my guess is that we're not going to need it, and we probably won't need boosters for a number of years. And so really excited about that.
At this point, though, there are still a lot of adults who have not yet been vaccinated. We're not close to herd immunity. Vaccination rates are slowing down. So what would you say to urge those who haven't gotten vaccinated to do it?
Yeah, I think there are a host of things. I think some of the CDC conversation about if you're vaccinated, drop your masks, go outside, you can travel. Those are all positive things. I would like to remind our community, though, that as we lead the state of Texas at about 60+% vaccinated, we also have to remember there are about 150,000 people that got infected. That natural immunity plus the vaccinated immunity has probably pushed us to whatever level we want to call herd immunity, whether it's 70 or 80%. I think it's why we're seeing cases reduce. It's why we're only seeing people in the hospitals that are unvaccinated. And I think the pitch to the unvaccinated people is, what has happened that you don't want to get it? How can we do it better? Help us find that out. I mean, either tell us here at KVIA, tell the health department, but give us ideas of what it would take if you're on the fence to get you vaccinated.
We'd love to hear that answer too. All right, Dr. Alozie, thank you.
Thank you.